Hey everybody, it's Ms. Dobek checking in for our daily video. This week is going to look a little different because it's Mental Health Awareness Week. So we're going to focus more on mental health and why this Awareness Week is so important. So just like our physical health, where we all live in bodies and we all have our physical health, right? We all have a brain, we all have emotions and feelings, we all have mental health as well. So I want to get it more normal to talk about both our physical health, because nobody ever worries about saying, hey, I have a cold, I'm not feeling great this week, but we tend to have a hard time saying that about our mental health. Like, hey, I'm really going through some stuff right now and my mental health is struggling a little bit. So we want to help to reduce the stigma around mental health, and we want to make it a more normal conversation. So that's the big thing with Awareness Week, is we want to make this more normalized, because we know stigma basically means that there's a negative connotation to things, or there's kind of negative thoughts or things like that around that term. So we want to help reduce that with mental health. We want to make it more normal to talk about our mental health, so that we can get the help and the support that we need. We know that in any given year, probably at least 50% of our population is going to have a mental health concern or a mental health issue. This year, I would suspect it's probably a little higher, because we're all going through something with this virus that is making our norm a little different and getting us into some things that we probably aren't quite used to. And that is affecting a lot of people's mental health. So mental health, again, is just our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, things like that. And we're all going to struggle with that at times. Every single one of us is going to have a mental health concern or a mental health issue at some point in our lives. None of us are exempt from that. Just like all of us, no matter how good our physical health is with those genes and how good we take care of ourselves, no matter what, all of us are going to get sick at some point. Same thing, no matter with mental health, no matter how good it is with genes and what you do and, taking care of yourself, we're going to have some mental health concerns or issues at some point in our lives. The virus is a good example, because a lot of us are experiencing maybe some anxiety that we normally wouldn't experience. Maybe some of us are experiencing depression that we normally wouldn't experience from the loss of some of the things that we're used to, or being more isolated. So again, all of those things can lead to some mental health concerns for us. So we want to make this more normal to talk about, because we know if we get some support, we're able to talk about these things, it's less likely to end up in a full-blown mental health disorder, okay? And the big difference between a mental health concern and a mental health disorder is that the disorders are longer lasting. So it's at least a couple of months that we're experiencing these, struggles and things like that, these emotions and things that we're struggling with. And it's also affecting our ability to lead a normal life how we normally would. So with a disorder, if you normally have no problem getting up, going to work, and being productive during the day, and then all of a sudden you found yourself feeling kind of depressed for the last couple of months, and you're struggling to get out of bed and even get into work, or when you get into work, you're struggling with getting anything completed for the day, or the same thing with school. Maybe you're feeling anxious for a while, and it's not going away, and it's continuing to get a little bit worse, and then when you go into school, all you can think about is that anxiety and stuff. That's where we're starting to look at, maybe this is more than just a little issue. Maybe this is starting to become a disorder. So we really want to make sure that people are able to get treatment and help that we need, because there is so much available out there at this point. And we know the earlier we get treatment and support and help, the better and faster we can recover from those things. We're able to recover from all of it. So we want to bring awareness, help reduce that stigma, so that people can feel free and feel more comfortable to get the help and treatment they need early on. All right, guys, so that's a little bit about mental health and mental health disorders. One more thing I did want to mention is, from some of the websites like National Alliance on Mental Health and things like that I looked at, it really looks like they're estimating between about 20% and 25% of us in any given year will have an actual mental health disorder. Again, at least 50% of us, I would think that's probably higher, would have a mental health concern or issue during the year. So again, none of us are exempt. We're going to have mental health concerns at some point. Want to get more used to talking about that. So with this awareness week, that's what we're trying to do. Wear that green, talk about these things, make it a more normalized conversation. This is from a project that we did with 7th grade last year, and we made a whole big display. We made posters and things like that with 7th grade, and one of these says, anyone can have a mental illness, including celebrities, presidents, and professional athletes. So what we did with that is we took a whole bunch of celebrities, athletes, singers, things like that, and looked at the mental health disorders they have and saw that they're still able to live a full life and, you know, still able to do the things that they want to do. It doesn't have to control you. So I'm going to every day this week just give you a little information on one of the disorders that we talked about last year. Today we're going to start with one that actually affects about 4% of our population in any given year, and that is PTSD. So PTSD stands for post-traumatic stress disorder. And you'll probably are familiar with that term and things like that. One of the reasons I wanted to talk about that is because this year, with the virus and things like that, we may see a little uptick in PTSD this year, especially for our healthcare workers and people more on the front lines. So we want to be a little aware of some of the, symptoms of PTSD, so we can help just kind of watch for those things and the people we care about and say, hey, I've been noticing these things. Are you feeling okay? Are you doing okay? I'm here if you need. I'm going to support you. You can help them if they need treatment and things like that. We can give you guys a resource list. So we have a lot of things out there. But so I wanted to just give you a little idea with PTSD. And first of all, our celebrity that we picked out that has PTSD is Lady Gaga. So she is open about her diagnosis with PTSD, and I love when celebrities and sports figures and things like that are open about it, because it just opens up that conversation a little bit more. So with PTSD, again, it's typically triggered by either experiencing firsthand or witnessing firsthand a traumatic event. And what's traumatic to one person can be different for another person. So some people maybe get PTSD after a car accident, or possibly we had some flooding in the last couple of years. Some people who lived through a flood can have PTSD. Someone who's had some abuse issues could have PTSD. We think a lot about, again, our veterans and things like that. That's one of the main things that comes to mind with PTSD. But it can happen to anyone. It can be witnessing something, a traumatic event, or experiencing it firsthand. So some of the symptoms for PTSD, some of the ones you probably are familiar with, are having flashbacks. So without any kind of control, your mind just goes back to that moment and you have a flashback to that moment, which of course can induce a lot of anxiety and fear and things like that. Nightmares is also a symptom of PTSD. Some of the other things are extreme anxiety is a symptom of PTSD. Also, detaching from family, friends, people that were important to you is a symptom of PTSD. One of the other ones that you might not be as well aware of is feeling like you're going to pass out or actually passing out. Because our feelings just, with PTSD, the feelings just overwhelm and they're too much. And when you start to feel any type of feelings, it overwhelms and your brain kind of shuts down and is like, that's it, we're not dealing with that. Fainting or passing out is actually a symptom. Some of the other symptoms are easily being startled or not being able to express positive emotions. So those are some of the main ones. Again, this is something that we may see a little bit more this year, especially with our healthcare workers, our frontline workers right now with the virus. So I thought it would be a good thing to kind of review this disorder for today. If you think you have someone who may be struggling with it, it's okay to talk to them about it. We're trying to make this a more normal thing, a more normal conversation. Just if we saw somebody who is maybe like coughing or something like that, are you feeling okay? Like, do we need to go to the doctors? Same thing, if you're seeing these symptoms, like, hey, are you feeling all right? I'm a little concerned. I've been noticing these things. Should we maybe Google some mental health stuff? And there's all kinds of hotlines out there, and there's all kinds of local lines. There's all kinds of therapists and things like that. Just reach out. Our state has a couple of lines that you can call, and they can help you get the treatment that you need. So again, and also you can always email me, sdoback@scasd.us, and I can help you with any kind of supports or anything like that you need. But we want to make these more normal. We want to get this where it's a conversation and you guys are more comfortable to talk about these things. All right, so I hope you enjoyed our first day of conversation about mental health. This is kind of what we'll do for the rest of the week as far as these videos go. So wear green. Get this conversation going this week. And again, don't forget, Thursday is our green out. Post all those green pictures on social media with the hashtag SCA Green Out. All right, thanks, guys.